I couldn't tell where the first blinding release stopped and the next began. I couldn't talk, couldn't breathe, couldn't even scream, as he owned me in the deepest sense. He played me like his personal instrument, pulled every one of my strings tight, until they snapped off and the relentless fist tangled in my hair, the savage thrusts fucking me into carnal seas that tried to drown me. Can't breathe, and I fucking love it. Pleasure overwhelmed me. I thought the storm was breaking when I felt his fingers on my ass again, spreading me open, just above his pistoning cock. 2 stiff fingers sank into my virgin hole. He held them there, stroking me, while his cock slammed deep in my wet pussy. I came again, panting bloody murder, somewhere between a scream and a moan. His name was the only thing on my speechless lips. I mouthed it like a mantra as both my holes tightened on him, and he erupted deep against my womb with a vicious roar. God fucking damn it! The pleasure ripped through us. So hot, so intense, so wild, I swore we'd fused into one shaking, grunting being for the next few breathless minutes. Austin, my love. Asphalt, my life. The one, the only, the love I'd always have written in blood, sweat, and tears. When it was finally over, I felt his hot seed trickling down my leg, just as he drew his cock out of me. Jesus, Austin, I said, focusing all my energy so I could roll into his waiting arms. What the hell was that? Who knew sex could be so...
Explosive. Yeah, babe, it's a fucking grenade when you're with me. You think you've got it all figured out, that you know everything I can do, but you haven't seen shit.
Grinning, he rested his forehead on mine, calming my lips with his before he spoke again.
You don't have a fucking clue how I'm gonna make your body shake in all the years to come. Can't wait to show you, Ellie Joe. Cannot fucking stand it.
The boys were heading down to Portland soon. I overheard the whispers at the bar, sensing the tension coursing through the clubhouse like a dying autumn wind. The Reading men who'd taken old ladies made their calls. I heard brass rabid Roman, in their private moments, telling their women they were going to come home safe, the last rites an outlaw has before he puts his life on the line. My heartstrings strummed each time, and every night Asphalt kept me at the hotel, holding me tight against his chest when we weren't fucking hot and hard.
You're staying under lock and key, babe, he told me. We'll keep a couple prospects playing rear guard to make sure you're safe while we make our big run. Don't fuck with them. They're trying to do their job.
I tried to keep what he said in mind. I'd grown up with Daddy's prospects and brothers hanging around constantly, so having my own little security detail wasn't anything new. Too bad familiarity breeds complacency. The men were locked away all day in their meeting room, probably drawing up their final plans before they hit the Chinese hard. I had to get away from it, go somewhere to clear my head. Carbon drove me out to the park, where Asphalt and I formed our special connection. I was looking forward to a nice, long walk, trying not to fume that they'd completely ignored my offer to help them translate. Okay, so maybe there wasn't a place for my services, and putting me back in the danger zone was too much. But I could have went with them, damn it. Could have followed them down to Portland for moral support or more, if they needed to know what the Chinese were really saying when they spoke man to man. Carbon wisely kept his distance. I walked the long trail up through the hills, looking back over my shoulder. Fresh smoke curled from the prospect's mouth into the cool Pacific air. I couldn't tell if the look of boredom on his face trumped the disappointment that he was being left behind to look after me while the others rode away to war. Dark thoughts crept up on me for the past 24 hours, until I couldn't hold them in anymore. Losing Daddy and Asphalt both was a real possibility, and it gripped my heart like a boa constrictor, threatening to squeeze the life out of me one anxious second at a time. No, I couldn't think like that. I had to stay strong for both the men in my life. They deserved better than defeatism, and so did I. The sun picked a perfect time to break through the dull gray sky. For just a second, I stood underneath the lone beam, warming myself. Tried to absorb some sign from the universe that everything was going to be all right. If nothing else, it gave me the strength to get moving again. I told myself I'd hit the books later. Maybe figure out what other languages I could learn from the club as a backup plan. Yes, I was actually considering Asphalt's crazy career offer. I rounded my way off the trail and looked for Carbon. Where the hell was he? He wasn't by the tree anymore. I shrugged, thinking he'd gone off to the public bathrooms or something. Maybe he'd snuck inside the small service building for a nip of something from a canteen. All these biker boys had to fall back on when they got bored and couldn't get into any new mischief. I headed for the building. Pushing open the men's room door, I poked my head in, taking a quick, cautious look inside before I called his name. Of course it had to be one of those old bathrooms that curved around a tiled bend, the kind that didn't let you see anything without walking straight inside. Somebody's footsteps scraped the floor, and a man cleared his throat. "Carbon?" I yelled softly, staying just behind the corner. "Is that you? I'm ready to get out of here whenever you're—" The man burst out from around the corner and tackled me to the ground. Before I could even scream, I hit my head on the concrete floor so hard my ears rang. He dragged me by the legs, and in the blinding pain, I couldn't even think to fight him. My legs wouldn't kick. My hands wouldn't claw at the ground. He swung me around the corner, kneed me in the spine, and began tying my hands behind my back. I caught a flash of several other devilish-looking bastards in neat black work shoes, their cruel faces smiling. Each one wore the same small golden dragon head on their lapels. I managed to scream for a solid second before the Chinese mobster clapped his hand across my mouth. Cold, deadly steel pushed against the length of my back, making me shudder.
"Scream again and we'll cut you open like your friend."
He turned my head harshly, pointing it toward the dirty stall with its door swung half open. Oh, God. I recognized Carbon's thick riding boots unnaturally touching the ground. Blood pooled out beneath his body where they'd laid it on the toilet. A thick red stream that could only be coming from his stomach. He wasn't moving. He had to be. Shit. I sobbed against the asshole's hand, and the blade of the knife dug deeper into my back, 1 more ounce of pressure away from doing everything he promised.
"Just try my patience again, bitch. You got my brother killed. You're coming with us to talk to Z, and you'll tell us everything you know before we rip your whore throat out."
Behind him, the other 2 laughed. They whispered several words in thick, angry Chinese, the last thing I heard before the pounding in my head caused me to black out.
"Save your energy, Brother Shao. She'll have a heart attack when she sees what we've done to her idiot father."
10. Crusade. Asphalt. Gone? What the fuck you talking about? I sat up in my chair, looking across the desk at Blackjack. Roman's hands instantly fell on my shoulders, trying to keep me from getting out of line. I shot him a nasty look. Fuck him and fuck anyone who got in my way. If somebody had really taken Ellie Jo, like the Prez just told me, then I'd punch a hole through the entire fucking earth to get her back. A small strike team, no doubt, probably sent up here just for her. The Prez folded his hands neatly and looked at me, his dark eyes shining. "You deserve to know since she's your old lady, son, and we're going to bring her back. That's why I brought you here." "You're damned right we will," I growled, shrugging off Roman before he could get a death grip on me. "We ought to be loading up and hitting the road to Portland right now, for fuck's sake. No delay. What difference is a few hours early gonna make?" "Not so simple," Blackjack snapped. "There's heavy storms rolling through just south of us now. The Tacoma men need time to mourn their prospect, at least a few hours to shake off the shock." They'd found Carbon completely gutted at the same park where I'd truly owned my girl for the first time. He seemed like a good man, but I couldn't care about that shit right now. I couldn't be fucked to think about anything except where my woman was and what the bastards who had her were doing. That fucking animal I'd beaten to a bloody pulp in the storage container had been about to force himself on her, tarnish what was mine, and only mine. My blood seethed like a volcano. I was about half a second from going thermonuclear, blowing the fuck up and coating the Prez and the Enforcer with my own bloody gore. "Let me do whatever it'll take to get us there faster," I said, feeling like a hero for offering them a diplomatic way out. "Just let me get my girl, assholes," I thought. "Then we'll all walk away satisfied." "Can't let you do that, son." Blackjack shifted in his seat, slicking back his long gray hair while he tugged out a smoke from his pocket. He offered me one, and I shook my head. The man didn't speak till he took his first long pull and blew it high into the air. "Roman!" When I saw the giant walk to the door, cover it with his body, and stand there with his arms folded like the Berlin fucking Wall, I knew the next shit rolling out of the Prez's mouth was bound to be bad. "This club's at war, about to go off to fight the most serious battle it's faced since the Mexicans. If we play our cards right, it'll be the last fight we face for a good long while. We'll bring Ellie Joe home safe and whatever's left of Gil. We'll murder every single black dragon in our sights." My fist hit his scratched-up desk. "Yeah? Where's the fucking punchline? We can't do any of that if we've got a loose cannon in our ranks. Son, for the good of this club, this mission, and your woman, I'm asking you to stay behind and help the prospects hold down SeaTac. We need someone here to protect our assets and make sure the Chinese don't hit us behind the lines while we go for the throat." No way. No cocksucking motherfucking way. By some miracle, I just sat there, like a stone, holding in the rocket fuel billowing up inside me, making me feel like I was about to shoot through the goddamned roof. Blackjack's words washed over me. I saw Roman out of the corner of my eye, studying me, ready to knock me flat if my anger caused me to do something really stupid. They had to keep order. So did I. "You understand, don't you, Asphalt? This move's the last one I want to make when I know how hungry you are to tear a piece out of those sons of bitches, but my first priority is keeping anyone from getting killed. Your odds are a lot higher than the rest of us when you're so pissed off. You're reckless. The Dragons won't claim one more brother, or any of the women who are family in this club. Do your duty here, and we'll bring her home. Got it?" Blackjack looked me dead in the eye and extended his hand. I took it without hesitation and gave him a shake, resisting the urge to tear his damned arm off. When I pulled my hand away, the Prez and Roman shared a bewildered look for just a split second. Too easy. What the fuck just happened? If I made them believe it, all the better. "I'm going to get the hell out of here and work on the bikes. Need them tuned up in case we've got any surprises to deal with in our territory here." I stood, slowly shaking my head. "Can't wait for this shit to be over, Prez, so we can go home to Reading without these fucking worries." "You and all the brothers, son. You've got my thanks for understanding." I held my rage as Roman stepped aside and cleared the door for me. Didn't show any emotion till I was out, and then I headed for the garage, just like I said. I watched my brothers come out with guns, ammo, and a few first aid kits for their saddlebags a couple minutes later. Blackjack and Brass rode out ahead of everybody, leading the big war party out through the gates when everything was ready. Rabbit looked at me and gave me a stern nod on his way out. The respect in his eyes almost made me feel bad about the game I was playing. Almost. No, fuck that. With Ellie on the line, nothing, and I mean nothing, meant more than keeping her safe. The boys would ride slow, probably take the long route through to avoid the lingering storms rolling through the Pacific Northwest. I could cut around them, beat them to Portland, and kill half the fuckstains who had my girl before they even rolled into town. I waited till it was just me and a couple prospects who'd come up from Reading. Fished out every fucking drink I could find at the bar to keep them distracted and seal their yaps. A quick call had the hottest pussy in town on the way to the clubhouse, 3 escorts with virgin looks and fake tits that would keep those fucks hammered all night. Then, when they were laughing like drunken fools with their dicks straining in their pants, waiting for the girls to show up, I stepped out into the garage one more time. The whores grinned at me when they pulled up and made their way in. I waved them through without a second look, not even bothering to glance at their asses bobbing in those heels. I had better waiting for me when I got my girl home. Nobody saw the shit I took out of the vault. The only new toy the crew left behind because nobody knew how to work it. The Devils dropped it off in trade last week coming from Montana, a peace offering from Blaze to Blackjack since he'd managed to calm shit down with the rogues in Tacoma. They said they'd send instructions later about how to use the high-powered sniper rifle. I turned it over in my hands, marveling how it was just like the one I'd used at the range last month. It was supposed to be Roman's job to figure this shit out and keep it for dirty jobs in the club's arsenal. She was supposed to be in that vault, sleeping like an angel of death, ready whenever we called her to service. Too fucking bad I had to interrupt her sleep early. I packed her carefully on my bike in the long case, covering it with an extra tarp in case I passed any nosy cops on the road. I'd put that big killer bitch to work for me at dawn tomorrow, and she'd help me get my baby girl home alive. I rode without stopping for anything but gas on my way down. Took more than 4 long hours after leaving at midnight, and I approached the Portland outskirts in the same slow, brutal rain that slowed time itself to a trickle. Stopping at the last fill-up station before all hell broke loose, I did a quick call to Blackjack. The boys were at least a solid hour behind. Told him everything was fine back in Tacoma and asked for an update. They'd gotten slowed down by the storms more than me, despite leaving sooner, and one of the Tacoma guys had to stop for engine trouble on the way down. Fucking great. Great for me and the killer angel riding with me, the best chance Ellie Joe had at being saved before the dragons did worse. Blackjack was damned right about one thing. The hunger. I couldn't shake it, the firestorm raging through my system. My fingers burned every time I thought about squeezing the trigger with those motherfuckers in my sights. Blood for blood. Vengeance. Salvation. They had to die so we could live. The way of the universe. Kill or be killed, all I'd ever known. Except now I had something more important than that shit on the line. I had Ellie Joe, and I'd sworn an oath on everything I had to protect her. I wasn't going to disappoint her again if by some miracle the assholes hadn't already fucked her over. If they stuck their greasy cocks anywhere near her, I swear to fucking God, a lot of men were going to die the worst deaths possible. The old plant they'd picked as a base looked like a goddamned castle on the horizon. I had to pull my bike into an abandoned way station to get a good look. The bastards were definitely there. Saw them through my binoculars, a couple sharp-dressed dragons out on patrol, lazily walking around the edges of the high gate topped with rusted barbed wire. Had to find my perch. Had to pray they weren't smart enough to have their own sniper, but I'd never seen anybody up against our club yet who had the cutting-edge shit made for murder on my bike. The whole area had seen better times. The abandoned power plant was flanked by several old warehouses and factories with busted-out windows. Leaving my bike parked at the rear, I headed for the one I'd seen with the most smashed windows, giving me several good places to set up shop and figure out whose head I'd blow apart first. I climbed about a dozen flights of stairs to reach some high ground. The place was a fucking disaster zone with broken floors and exposed beams. I kicked aside several ratty sleeping bags on my way in, trash left by bums or urban explorers who'd come through over the years. Taking a careful look around on the top floor, I made sure it was just me and ghosts here. Then I stayed low, making sure nobody saw my shadow filling the few remaining windows. The rifle went up fast, and I warmed it with my greedy hands, priming myself for action as I looked through the scope. Shit had one hell of a magnifier. I could see the dragons better than I could through my binoculars. The early morning light coming over the horizon helped, too. Fucking waiting game. I had to be patient, wait for just the right moment to start dropping the fuckers. All the time I'd spent on the range learning exotic weapons was about to pay dividends. I held my breath, struggling to keep my white-hot rage from making me pull the trigger as I watched those fucks shuffle through my scope, oblivious to the fact that they were all about to be snuffed out like goddamned flies. I wanted to see that fucker Z poke his head out. Ellie described him to a T, so I knew exactly what to look for, an older man with graying hair and crazy fucking eyes. If I could pop his head, it'd sow confusion in the ranks. They'd be falling to pieces by the time the boys pulled up, ripe for slaughter, and then— "Fuck," I muttered, stunned to see the same white van that drove out of the warehouse we'd blown to Kingdom Come in Tacoma. It rounded the corner and parked next to the old loading dock. The driver got out and opened the doors, waiting while several of his boys marched outside, towing a prisoner behind them. Gil looked like absolute shit. The motherfuckers had carved up his face, lacing it with thick, deep cuts, Shit that wouldn't just scar and fade if he managed to live through today. The stump where his hand had been hung limply at his side, and he walked like they'd fucked up one knee, dragging his right leg behind him. What came out behind him was even worse. I saw Ellie being dragged in chains, manhandled by 2 sick motherfuckers. My vision through the scope went blood red. My finger trembled on the fucking trigger. I narrowed my field of vision to the assholes holding her, looking for a reason to shoot their heads off, plus anything that would prevent my girl from getting shot or stabbed the moment I did. That was the damned catch. Fuck, fuck, fuck! They were taking them away, relocating, running like the vermin they were. I couldn't let them drive the fuck off. Steam hissed out my mouth in a cold puff as I sighed, sucking in a big breath to hold. Watching, waiting, hoping for a miracle. The Chinese piled them both into the back of the van and slammed the door shut. My rifle followed the van as it drove to the front gate, keeping my target fixed on the bored as shit fucknut driving it. He'd die first. I had to kill him and the other shithead in the passenger seat before they rolled through that gate onto the open road. Then maybe I could pick off any other assholes dumb enough to approach the vehicle before they— Fuck! I swore louder this time, banging my fist on the ground. My boys picked the worst time in the world to roll up, just as the van stopped at the gate, waiting for it to open. The biggest pile of shit in the universe hit the fan and got flung to the furthest corners of creation. I locked onto the asshole driver just as the Chinese heard the motorcycles and started to panic. The rifle barked, jerked in my hands, and the windshield exploded into broken fragments, stained red with his gore. His fuckhead passenger in the next seat over managed to reach for the handle to pop his door before I took him out. One shot collapsed his skull, took his face clean off. His headless body rolled out the open door and flopped on the ground. Blackjack looked almost as confused as the dragon motherfuckers storming out of the building like angry hornets, their guns drawn. Didn't stop him from riding behind Roman's truck. It took down the gate like a fucking battering ram, and I watched the firefight start through my scope like a Civil War general, men on both sides screaming, running, shooting at each other. The Chinese had some tricks up their sleeves, but we had more. Several fuckheads popped up on the rooftops, looking for the sniper, without having any clue I'd gone lone wolf. I took them out in seconds. Tried like hell not to focus too hard on the van, praying Ellie and Gil would be all right. Yeah, that's right, I even hoped her asshole old man would survive, because anything that happened to him in the back of that shitty white van was bound to hurt my girl, too. Plus, keeping his evil ass alive would save her heart from getting torn into a million pieces. My rifle shifted across the battlefield. I killed a few more Chinese hiding behind crates, shooting at Rabbit and Brass as they smashed their way in, heading toward the door with the Tacoma brothers close behind. Roman circled for the van, and I breathed my first sigh of relief since this shit started. The wind blew fierce, and I saw Blackjack turn around and follow it, his eyes scanning the walls of the broken old place where I'd holed up. I'd given them a huge advantage. The boys would just have to pick off the ones inside now. Time to get the fuck down there and fight with them, man on man. I ran down the same flights of dirty stairs and climbed on my bike, holding the sniper rifle on my side. When I rode across the street and crossed over the broken-down gate, the Prez shook his head, shooting me a death glare, while he tried not to grin. I'd done him a big fucking favor. I'd saved lives, but I'd still disobeyed a direct order, and I'd pay for it later, like the defiant motherfucker I was. Parked my bike by the loading dock as I listened to gunshots firing inside. I dropped the sniper rifle off where Roman could see it and drew my 9mm, heading inside to find the fuck responsible for this shit before anybody else did. I had to kill him, had to put that Z piece of shit down like the rabid dog he was. My brothers were just coming out from behind their crates when I busted in. Brass's eyes went big as fucking saucers when he saw me. Holy fuck! You must have been the asshole playing sniper? What are you doing? I fired before the mobster asshole popped up behind him and put a bullet through his brain. I hit the fuck in the thigh and his shot went into the ceiling as he collapsed, screaming shit in Chinese I couldn't understand. The second miracle of the day arrived. Z rolled on the ground like a fucking coward when I found him. He'd been reaching for the gun he'd lost when he hit the floor and started clenching his leg. I picked it up, walked over and stomped his hand so fucking hard his fingers snapped like twigs. The other guys were behind me in seconds. One-eyed Line made a grunt of approval, and both the Veeps reached for the asshole, ready to hoist him up. Wouldn't fucking let him. I pushed my boot down even tighter, hearing his pain echo like a song through the huge place as I ground the bones I'd broken into dust. Asphalt, what the fuck, man? Rabbit looked at me, reaching for Z's leg. No! Put him the fuck down! Where's the prez? This asshole needs to die right here. His scalp is mine, and it's Ellie Joe's, too. They looked at me like I'd lost my mind. I'd been around for ages in this club, long enough to know the drill. When Lady Luck sent us a head honcho like Dragonfucker here, their ass belonged to the Grizzlies. We grilled them before we executed them, or else used them for ransom. But what the fuck could Z tell us that mattered, seeing how we'd just slaughtered his entire crew? It took several minutes for the rest of the boys to join us. Roman scanned the warehouse, making sure we'd annihilated every last one of the mobsters. A couple gunshots rang out in the distance, telling us he'd put one or two more out of their misery. Blackjack walked up to me, his arms outstretched. My jaw nearly hit the floor when he threw them around me in a big brotherly hug. That's for saving our lives with the sniper stunt, he growled into my ear. Stunned, I ignored Z's groans and started to put my arms around his back. Then the meanest blow I'd felt in a while cut across my chin like a fucking hurricane. He hit damned hard. I reeled back, fell against several crates, and doubled over, rubbing the blinding pain shooting through my face. And that's for defying a direct order and lying to me, son. Next time you'll catch a bullet in your kneecap. The prez pointed, his finger stern and cold as a dagger. Never again. Understood. Sorry, prez, I mumbled, spitting out the blood pooling in my mouth, hoping I'd be able to talk so I could get the very last thing I needed. Get this sack of shit loaded for the ride to Reading, Blackjack said to Brass and Rabbit. We'll bring him home and find out everything he knows. Prez, wait. I touched him gently on the shoulder and squeezed. I don't give a shit if you want to torture this fuck any way you please for intel, but the kill needs to be mine. I gotta give Ellie something to make up for all this. I need to— My words stopped in my throat as Roman stepped up, a switchblade in his hand. Ellie Joe stepped out behind him, her hands cut free from the cord binding them. Her attention was totally on Gil, hanging onto her shoulder, and she didn't see me till I spat more blood. Asphalt, baby, oh my God! Fuck. I took one more long look at Z, his head twisting unnaturally as the boys carried him toward the truck. He'd have a long, hellish ride to California. The tourniquet they'd put on his leg would keep him from bleeding out, but he'd suffer just the same, knowing he was completely at our mercy. And we had none. Shit, I had absolute zero, negative fucking mercy if such a thing were possible. I wanted to kill him, slice through his nasty face, lift the fucking scalp off his head and hand it to my baby girl as payment for what she'd suffered. She needed a bloody guarantee that my word was solid and this shit would never, ever happen again. But she needed my arms around her more right now. I stepped away from the cursing, wriggling mafia don and hugged my woman. For just a second I could savor having her in my arms, something that seemed downright impossible a couple hours ago. Never should have let you leave the clubhouse, I said, reaching for her hand. I pulled it to my lips and gave it a kiss. Fuck it if it didn't make my dick throb. That woman could have touched me with nothing but her eyelashes, and I'd still have a raging hard-on worse than I got when most girls straddled me, feeling their pussies leaking all over my cock. It's not your fault. None of this is. She kissed one cheek, and then the next, before centering her lips. I took what was mine. We kissed long and hard and deep. Didn't give a fuck about the dead assholes laying all around us. Didn't care about Z screaming one last time as I heard them throw him into the back of Roman's truck like a sack of trash. Didn't even give a shit about Gil and Blackjack both eyeballing me, looking like they wanted to rip my head off, for very different reasons. Then Gil looked at his daughter and the fucker's face tensed up. He started bawling like a baby. Whatever the fuck happened out here, it was bad. Awful enough to break him. It's over now. You're coming home with me, babe, and it'll be a while before you ever see the Pacific fucking Northwest again. Her old man bit his tongue when he heard me say that shit. He cried harder, his whole body quaking, dying from the shame of going completely broke. Good. I motioned his way. Come on, let's help get him in the truck with his crew so he can get some proper attention. Gil didn't say shit as I grabbed his other arm and we helped him walk outside. He'd taken quite a fucking beating thanks to the Chinese. His sobs slowed as we led him out. Fucker was red as a tomato, embarrassed, probably the reason he wasn't giving me any shit or whispering threats about the glorious hold I had on his daughter. He'd never give our love his stamp of approval, and I didn't fucking care. Right now he was too fucked up and traumatized to say a damn thing about it. Line stood near the open door to the truck, just waiting. I finally got a good look at him as we hoisted him inside, me stepping back so Ellie could fasten his seatbelt. The man was completely, irreparably fucked. If Karma was an absolute bitch like everybody said, then she'd decided to rip everything away from him except his daughter. She'd taken his hand, his face, and whatever manhood he had left. Tacoma's soon-to-be ex-prez would never ride again with that stump on his arm, and if he found a woman who'd let him better with that sliced-up face, he'd be paying for her company. Much as I hated him for putting my girl in danger, shit was fucking sad. Christ, I needed a smoke. I fought the urge and took Ellie's hand instead, leading her toward my bike. It isn't really over, I growled, jerking her into my embrace and whispering in her ear. I lied back there. Her sweet blue eyes turned up, a little darker than usual, fear streaking through them. Huh? What do you mean? I'm gonna kill Z myself for what he did to you and your old man. He needs to fucking die for this, and I want to be the one to plunge the knife in his throat. Maybe do worse. She looked around, making sure nobody else could hear. I could have rolled my eyes. The girl should have known by now how crafty I could be. Won't that get you in trouble? We'll see, I shrugged. Honestly, babe, I don't give a single fuck anymore. Even the Prez acknowledges the fact that I saved his ass and everybody else's today. The Chinese might have taken you and your dad in that van if I hadn't started shooting. They definitely would have given my brother some casualties. It isn't worth it, she said, refusing to look at me. I just want this to be over. For real, Austin. We've suffered enough. I don't need more blood to make this right. I'm safe. I'm with you. Daddy's alive. That's all that matters. That's enough. Her eyes told a different story. I saw the way she looked away from me, turning toward the truck where they'd loaded up Z. Poor girl had a flood of pain building up inside her, ready to burst. No fucking way, I said coldly. I grabbed her chin and jerked her face straight, locking down her eyes with mine. I told you what's going to happen once we get home. You'll never sleep another peaceful night if that animal's still wasting air breathing on this earth. And if we don't kill him, we'll regret somebody else doing it. Told you, babe, I'm going to carve a piece off his carcass and bring it to you with my bare hands. That's a promise. She gasped. I let her go and walked away before she could try to talk me out of it. Stay here and drink some water. There's a canteen in my saddlebag. Gotta help clean up so we can get our asses home. I left Ellie waiting next to my bike while I headed back inside the old plant. I had to help the boys clean this shithole up, dispose of all the assholes we'd killed. The club couldn't handle another massacre in the media. A couple politicians were already screaming for action till we paid them off, and they'd start squawking for more if they saw another opportunity to fill up their campaign coffers. It took about a solid hour with the full crew carrying bodies into a big empty pit we'd dug out back before we finished. Their skins sizzled like a witch's brew when Roman tipped the acid barrels over their carcasses, dissolving them like they'd never existed, before we shoved the dirt over their bones. If anyone ever came out here and found this shit in 50, maybe 100 years, they'd never piece together who the fuck the remnants belonged to or what had happened here today. That secret died with us. It was about to die a whole lot faster with Z, too. My fingers itched to feel his blood all over them when I smashed my fist through his rotten, fucked-up face. Nobody hurt my girl and lived to whine about how sorry they were. Fucking nobody. I flexed my fists, nodding to the big enforcer as I helped him pile the empty barrels back by the loading dock for the prospects to carry. Glassy walked up and winked at me before he picked one up and hauled it over his shoulder. This bullshit gets old, don't you think? Roman said, squinting into the rising morning sun. I want to go the fuck home and stay there this time around. I'd rather be with my wife and kid any damn day over throwing more dead bastards into the ground. We're getting there, brother. I threw my arm around his shoulder. Give it a year and I'll be right there with you. So will Rabbit and Brass when they knock their girls up. The Prez can be a real fucker sometimes, but he's right. The giant cocked his head, wondering what the fuck I was talking about. He's helped us clear out practically every asshole who could ever threaten us. We're earning our peace by blood, and it's so damned close I can taste it. No more rogues in our ranks once the other charters hear about what happened to Tacoma and Gil fucking up. No more mafia goons or vicious cartels breathing down our throats when they find out we took out a whole crew of dragons. Look up there, man. I pointed to the sky, and we both stared at the big fiery ball till our eyes burned. It's a bright new day for this club and every man in it. All we gotta do is keep the peace and make our women the happiest, most spoiled bitches on the face of the earth. He laughed. It was still weird to hear the big guy bust a gut, though he'd been doing it more lately, ever since settling shit with Sally and his son. A couple minutes later, Brass and Rabbit joined us. We bullshitted like we hadn't since the last big hog roast a couple months ago, and when the prospects told us everything was finished, we headed out to our bikes wearing shit-eating smiles. "Oh, God, what now?" Ellie asked sadly, running her hands over my neck after we got on my bike. "Nothing, babe. Why do you look so worried?" She hesitated. "You're happy. Who did you kill to get a smile like that?" I turned around, fisted her sweet blonde hair, and smiled wider. "I'm grinning like a Cheshire fucking cat because everything's gonna be different now. We'll finally be living like a man and his wife should. There's more blood in the future. Yeah, there always fucking is. But I'm gonna make you the happiest woman who ever wore a man's brand, and you're gonna love every single second. I'm smiling, thinking about all the ways you'll grin in the years to come. Smile at me till your pretty white teeth fall out." She laughed. It echoed like the best damned music I'd ever heard as we pulled out behind my brothers, tightening our formation on the road for the long trip home. Peace was waiting for all the brothers in Reading. No sooner than we rode through the gates, I saw all the old ladies file out, the prospects and a couple brothers at their sides. Stryker saluted the Prez, the only full-patch brother who'd stayed behind, except for old Southpaw. The old ladies practically ran 'em all down in the rush to greet us. Krista for Rabbit, Sally for Roman, cradling their son in her arms. The kid was getting bigger all the time. Missy blew a kiss for Brass. Even her kid sister Jackie was standing by her side. The teenager would have a rocking body in a few more years, and the Veep would probably have to fight off prospects from sniffing around her if she kept coming by the clubhouse. Lucky for me, I already had everything I needed on the back of my bike. I helped Ellie off it like a queen and took her helmet while brothers went running to their girls. Tugging her close, I gave her a nuclear-hot kiss that rivaled all of them, clutching her body like I couldn't believe it was real. Fuck, her ass was made for my hands. I held it tight, pulled her hips into mine, made her feel every inch of what she did to me. She'd never stop being the air in my lungs, and right now I had to drink her deep. We kissed for what seemed like a million years, and it still wasn't enough. Didn't take my lips off hers till Roman barked at the prospects, telling them to get their asses in gear, unloading our arms and putting them to bed. Ellie looked like she was about to fall over. I had something else to put to bed, and I led her into the clubhouse, trying to keep my eyes off the limp Chinese asshole a couple guys carried in ahead of us. We took the shitty old bed in my old room, one of the last nights we'd camp here before I found us a real place to live. We were both too tired to fuck, but damn if my dick didn't hound me anyway. I held her close, feeling her curves as she mumbled nonsense, drifting off to sleep. She seemed trouble, tossing and turning in my arms. I stroked her brow, then ran my fingers softly through her hair. This was living. Before, I'd only been alive when I had some whore in my cock with Jack coursing through my veins, or else when some sick piece of shit who deserved to die was gurgling his death rattle. None of that shit even came close to what I had in this bed. Ellie Jo slept like an angel. A battered, damaged angel who'd been fucked over one too many times by her dad's mistakes, and mine, too. "Never again," I whispered into her ear, not even caring she couldn't hear me. "Never, never. All you're gonna do for me is making money, making kids, and setting our bed on fire when I climb into it. You've suffered, Elbel, hurt more than some brothers. That's a fucking crime, and it stops now. I'm telling you right through your dreams, babe, because I fucking own 'em. I'll make 'em happen, and I'll make sure you know how much I love you every single day when you're awake." Pausing, I buried my nose in her hair, breathing her scent. God damn, she smelled good, even when she was fresh from being held by the mafia without so much as a shower. I wanted to rip her clothes off and fuck her senseless, fuck her till our bodies totally gave out. But she needed her beauty sleep, and I wasn't a total animal, even though I sometimes doubted it. "Sleep tight, Ellie Jo. You can give me all the shit you want about how I saved your life. Truth is, you saved mine. I'd have wound up dead sooner or later with my temper if I didn't have something to keep it in check. I kissed her cheek, listening to her moan softly, nuzzling her face into me. Only gonna let it loose one more time. Then it's done and gone forever, baby girl. I'm killing it for you. I closed my eyes and slept like a dead man for several hours. When I woke up to the pounding on my door, I shifted out of bed carefully, leaving Ellie deep in her dreams. Yeah? I cracked the door and saw Brass's dark face looking at me. Church, brother. 5 minutes. I nodded, closed the door, and pulled my cut off its hanger. I lingered a minute longer as I rolled it onto my shoulders, staring at the woman sleeping in my bed, the one who'd just handed me the rest of my life. It was gonna be absolutely fucking glorious. Bring him in. Blackjack clenched the bear paw so tight his fingers turned white. The tension was back in the room. Everybody in the Redding crew stared across to Tacoma. Not that the assholes would try anything, no matter how heated it got, because we outnumbered them in droves. Our prospects waited outside. Stryker and Southpaw held the door from our side, only stepping out of the way when Gil staggered in, taking the seat reserved next to our prez. The motherfucker shuffled like a damned zombie. Plopping down into the empty seat, he gave the prez that 1,000-yard stare I'd seen on guys before, when they'd been through too much shit. Usually those guys snapped. I eyeballed Roman, and he looked at me. The enforcer understood. He was more than ready for anything fucking crazy. The prospects had patted Gil down before he entered, but who the hell knew what a man might do when he had nothing left to lose? You fucked up something awful, brother, Blackjack growled, giving the Tacoma prez a look straight from hell. You put my whole club in peril. You're not a stupid man, though. I've got to wonder with everything that's happened. You, Gil, know exactly what the rules say about Mother Charter and her right to rein in chapters going rogue. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, brother. It's all your— Shut up. 2 words, and I knew Ellie's old man had lost his fucking mind forever. Nobody cut Blackjack off, and you sure as shit didn't tell him to shut up. All the Redding brothers bristled, including me. Across the table, Line looked nervous, torn between his loyalty to a man who'd flipped his shit and the full Grizzlies MC assembly here. Slowly, Gil stood. Half the room was ready to pounce and knock him the fuck down if he so much as reached into his pockets. I didn't trust the pat check he'd received before coming in here one bit. A 20-year veteran in this club had plenty of ways to hide weapons if he wanted to kill a man bad enough. Gil reached for his own chest with his single good hand. We watched him grab the president patch by several loose stitches in the corner. He pulled hard till we heard the tear ripping through the dead silence. It popped right off his leather cut without so much as a thread hanging. Shaking, Gil turned to Line and opened his torn-up lips. Hand out, he whispered. The Tacoma Veep did as he asked, and everybody calmed when we saw the patch pass to him. The crown's yours now, brother. Remember my fucking mistakes. Gil turned to Blackjack. Our prez nodded coldly. Deep down, he was probably just as relieved as the rest of us, but his face didn't show it. The bastard had given up his power without a fight, and that was all that mattered. Blackjack looked merciless as the defeated asshole turned away, heading for the door. A lesser man would have felt sorry for the poor son of a bitch, but I had nothing except pure relief pumping through my blood. Maybe he'd actually paid the price for losing his post and a fully functional body, too. Maybe I wouldn't try to fuck him up as soon as I dealt with Z. Let him through, Blackjack ordered. The whole room watched while our boy stepped aside. Gil limped out, heading straight for the bar, ready to drown his agony in the only shit with a prayer of saving his miserable soul. It was Line's turn to look at Blackjack. Tacoma's in your hands now, the prez said, studying the bear claw gavel in his hand. Treat it right, and you won't wind up in his place. You've vetted me. Don't have to tell any of you what I can do. You can all count on me to set things right. I'll rebuild the Tacoma Charter the way it should have been the first time, without any antsy fuckers ready to walk off a cliff. I won't do anything that'll bring down hell on the whole club. I believe you, brother, Blackjack said sternly. It isn't just the Grizzlies MC as a whole that's counting on you to act on your word. It's every man in this room who's ready for some peace and quiet. That means me, too. We want to make money, build real assets, and fire a few less bullets next year. We're tired. We've had our feast on blood, and we want to trade with our friends and run our empire in peace. Help make it a reality. Fucking shit. The place was starting to sound like a hippie commune with everybody talking about putting down their guns and living the quiet life. Peace. Damn if it didn't sound good right now. I'd be ready for some of that, just as soon as I finished cleaning up the last mess dirtying this clubhouse. Church lasted for about an hour. The prez debriefed us and told us he'd be working Z over later, not that he expected to get much from the beaten mafia fuck. They had him tied up in the storage room, the same place we'd dealt with our enemies for years. Sometimes it was our own brothers who'd gone rotten, and other times it was the cartel before we'd beaten their asses just the same. Underneath the table I fingered the switchblade in my belt, imagining all the ways I'd gut the motherfucker waiting for my steel. I waited till church finished. The prez disappeared for the night, and the rest of the boys gathered in the bar with their women, their kids. Family time was the real debriefing they all needed, far more meaningful than any club business we could hatch in the meeting room. I nursed a single beer by myself, hiding in a corner while the brothers enjoyed themselves. They all started to taper off a little later. First Brass and Roman with their old ladies and the young ones, then Rabbit and Krista, leaving nobody but the prospects and the club whores. They'd be retiring behind closed doors to put their kids to bed or suck and fuck themselves to sleep soon enough. Another half hour, and I made my move. I headed down the hallway, stepping over Stryker, who lay smack in the middle of the floor, locking tongues with some dark-haired bitch in his lap. Glassy was passed out in the corner, his fake eye open, staring lifelessly across the clubhouse. The lone Tacoma prospect standing in front of the storage room looked at me like he'd seen a ghost and smiled. "You taking the next shift? Fuck, man, I've been listening to the party all night. I could really use a smoke." "Go." I slapped him on the back. "Fill your lungs out back and have some fun. I'll take over from here." He didn't even give me a second glance, just handed me the key and took off. Sometimes the universe just hands you a kill on a silver fucking platter. The storage room was permanently lit with several loud fluorescent bulbs. The pieces of shit we kept in here didn't deserve a good night's sleep, but damn if their bodies didn't try. Z slumped in a chair, his head hanging down like a bird's. He didn't look up till he heard the door snap shut behind me. "Asshole," he said. "You're the one who shot me. Come to finish things, yes?" I looked him dead in the eye without saying shit. He didn't deserve any idle chit-chat. I was about to give him the last thing he needed, all he deserved before his worthless carcass wound up buried in an unmarked grave. "You got anything else to tell the club, or should I try to beat it the fuck out of you?" One question. The only one I'd ask before I did his ass in. "No. All the treasure you'd ever want to plunder is safe in Shanghai, where your pissy little club will never reach." Fuck, did I hate the bastard's smug-ass smile. Even worse that he was right. The savage punch I slammed into his gut killed the grin instantly. He tensed up, spat blood, and tried to breathe. "Say it again, fucknut. Men like you always think you're hot shit when you're in control, chopping hands and threatening innocent girls. You always go coward in the end, shitting your pants and begging for your life. Same fucking thing I've seen dozens of times before I send men like you to hell." Motherfucker smiled. Again. The asshole was tougher than most, or maybe just crazy. I'd give him that. The cartel boss we'd had back here last time cried like a bitch when the knife went through his ear, and he was one of the rare birds who'd gotten out alive because we used him as an olive branch. "She didn't tell you?" Asshole spoke slow, struggling over every word when he'd had all the wind knocked out of him. You were too late. Asshole. You think you saved her? You fucked up. I left her with things she'll never forget. Never. Your little bitch will remember choking on my dick for the rest of her life. She'll remember her daddy watched. But I wish it had been you." "What the fuck?" I couldn't tell if the asshole was taunting me, trying to make me finish him faster so he wouldn't suffer, or if he'd really stained my girl. No bullshit, he'd shaken me. Fucking rattled my bones real bad. I had poisoned tears ready to burn trails down my face when I heard the door close behind me, spun around, and saw Blackjack standing with Ellie Joe. The prez had murder written on his face. My woman cried, covered her face, torture and hot shame overwhelming her. Z just smiled. That same arrogant, wicked, demonic fucking smile that I could only kill once when I wanted to do it 1,000 fucking times, and it still wouldn't be enough. I dropped the fucking switchblade burning in my hand. The dragon boss laughed through the blood streaming out between his teeth. You prick. Stupid fuck. Thought you'd just kill me and get a neat, happy ending, didn't you? I'd fucking failed her. I could stand up and gut this asshole, rip his fucking throat out with my bare hands, but it wouldn't do shit. I couldn't change the nightmare that had already happened. The asshole grinning in his hell seat would die just the same. But I'd fucking die right there on the dirty floor with him.
11. Undefeated. Ellie Jo. 15 minutes earlier. I woke up and ran straight to the bathroom. Asphalt wasn't laying with me anymore, and I'd known it for at least an hour, suffering through a fitful half-sleep while I tried to fight the vomit churning in my guts. I'd lied to him so well, hid what happened. I'd lied to myself, and I would have lied to Daddy too, if he hadn't been forced to see it all. My stomach couldn't empty itself enough. Mind and body tried to expel the poison in my system, the hellish memory of what happened in that run-down power plant, but this wouldn't do it. Never. The room spun, colliding over and over again in my head, and I retched pure stomach acid. I'd never get the taste of Z's disgusting cock out of my mouth. I staggered up to the sink, jerked on the faucets, and drank so many handfuls of cold water I thought I'd freeze. They came up again a second later, barely warm. I spat dirty water in the sink and slumped to the floor, hugging the sink for support, before sliding onto the tile. I rolled into a ball on the ground. It wasn't okay. It would never be okay. My man was going to do something stupid sooner or later, and maybe he'd find out what happened in that dirty factory, too, when the mob boss forced himself on me, with my father screaming through his gag, all his sick men watching in a circle. Worthless fuckhole. That's what he'd called my mouth, and he treated it like one, too, ramming himself down my throat, choking me for several minutes while I blacked out, the only defense I had against the horror. I woke to his cum drooling out my mouth. The mobster looked at me darkly and spat, zipping up his pants. Stupid fucking cunt. Not even a little tongue. Don't get too excited, boys. There's no spark here. I'll let you all have a turn when we take the whore to the docks. It's going to be a long cruise home. Come on, get her up. Out of my sight. I was on the ground, straining for breath, spitting out his cum when he yanked me to my feet and motioned to his men. They marched me out to the van with Daddy at my side. He wouldn't even look at me, staring at the ground like he'd lost his mind. We barely got in the back and felt the vehicle jerk forward before all hell broke loose. Asphalt saved our lives, but he couldn't take back what happened, what I vowed I'd try to keep from him, what I knew I couldn't. I had to find him, tell him everything, before he went and killed the devil waiting down the hall. If he had to find out, then it was better he heard it from me, rather than the monster. I cleaned up quickly and headed outside. Rock music throbbed through the clubhouse, a steady, low, booming bass. Several guys groaned in their rooms, interspersed with the love cries of their girls. A lone figure sat at the bar, having a drink by himself. Blackjack saw me, looked up, and stood, shoving his shot glass away from him.
Ellie Jo, how are you feeling?
His eyes narrowed as I approached.
Where's Asphalt?
I don't know, I said, my heart leaping into my chest. I was kind of coming out here to find out the same thing.
Shit.
One word, and he took off down the hallway, grabbing my hand.
Come with me. I've got a feeling I know where we'll find him.
I followed him to the heavy metal door to the room I'd seen them bring Z into. The club president pulled a keychain from his pocket and tapped his way through about a dozen separate keys before he found the right one, shoving it into the lock. The door opened and we stepped inside, only to hear the words that nearly killed me.
"Too late, asshole. I left her with things she'll never forget. Never. Your little bitch will remember choking on my dick for the rest of her life. She'll remember her daddy watched, but I wish it had been you."
The world dropped out underneath me. I had to catch myself by the knees as I doubled over and sprang back up, watching as Blackjack's face soured with rage. The door clicked shut. Asphalt spun around, saw us. His expression ruined me. We locked eyes, just for a second. I wanted to run to him, hold him, apologize for everything, and tell him that the only thing that mattered was what lay ahead, not behind us. It shouldn't have mattered that the wretched animal tied to the chair used me. But God help us, it did, and my heart splintered in two when I remembered his foul taste, the way Daddy flopped against the pillar, covering his eyes with his severed wrist so he wouldn't have to watch. "I'm sorry, baby," I said with my eyes. "Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking sorry." I couldn't apologize fast enough. I couldn't even move my lips. Asphalt turned away from me, dropped his knife. The clatter it made on the floor sounded like an asteroid hitting the earth. Z looked past him, smiling the same dirty smirk I'd seen before he unbuckled his pants.
"You prick. Stupid fuck. Thought you'd just kill me and get a neat, happy ending, didn't you?"
Those were his last words. Everything happened so fast, but it felt like 1,000 years as I watched Blackjack step up, grab the knife off the floor, and pull Asphalt up with it.
"Do it, son," he growled,
pushing the switchblade's handle into my man's palm.
"Drain every fucking drop of blood from this dog's veins."
A new stone-cold calm came over Asphalt like I'd never seen before. I huddled against the wall and watched as he moved behind the laughing mobster, grabbing his face by the chin and holding it up. Z's laughter stopped as soon as the blade sank below his ear. He screamed bloody murder, and after the first 20 seconds, I had to cover my ears. Blackjack turned, nodded at me, and retreated to the other corner. It seemed like the murder went on forever, an act of savagery that froze my veins. The bastard deserved it. Every rip, every wound, every spritz of blood pouring out the fissures Asphalt tore into his flesh. Every last bit of blinding pain. My heart swelled with pride when I finally dared glance at them. The evil mobster's face was half peeled away from his skull, and he was still alive, twitching in an agony that wouldn't let him do anything else. When I uncovered my ear, he wasn't screaming anymore. Soft, terrified words in Mandarin hissed through his blood and curdled the air. I took my hands off my ears and listened.
"No, no, no, don't do this. Don't. For the love of fucking God."
I was the only one in the room who could truly understand what he was saying, but the other men got the message. They didn't need an education to understand stark, raving terror. Asphalt's face turned into a mask of grim satisfaction as he stripped the remaining meat from his bones and finished peeling his face off. Z rasped, then let out another vicious scream. I looked at him, and we locked eyes. "Die, you piece of shit," I whispered. "We won't even think about you after this. There's no reason to. You have no power over me, none over us." Snarling, Asphalt stopped, turned, and looked at me.
"Get up here, babe. This shit belongs to both of us."
My heart beat wild as I slowly approached, shifting my eyes away from the demon to the love of my life. Before I knew what was happening, he pushed the blade's handle into my palm and tightened his fingers over mine as we formed a double fist.
"We killed this motherfucker together, put his ass down forever after all he's done to us. Everything he did to your old man."
Totally insane, but I nodded without a shred of hesitation. We'd been wed once at the altar, once more in bed, giving him my body, mixing flesh and passion in sweet vows we'd renew for the rest of our days. This was our third wedding, a marriage in blood, one that would wipe away all the curses we'd suffered for good. I stared into the wild emotion tightening Asphalt's handsome face.
"We'll do it on my mark. On 3,
he whispered.
1.
He began counting, and I moved my lips with him. For a second, I understood the killer instinct in every outlaw biker's heart. 2, we whispered together. Z babbled like a madman, gurgling for a mercy we'd never give him. 3. He pulled the blade in our hands back like a spear, and then slammed it into Z's throat. The devil's body kicked like a mule one more time, and he died. We dropped the knife, and I stumbled backward, amazed at what I'd just done. Even more incredible that there wasn't a shred of guilt. I'd felt glee when we slayed the monster. Asphalt hovered over him, watching the steady trail of blood spilling out his neck. I only got a tiny pang of disgust when Asphalt reached up, grabbed him by his bloody hair, and snapped his head back until it tilted unnaturally, nearly detached from the neck.
"Babe."
He turned to face me, and our eyes met, the pain fading in his bright green eyes. I ran to him again. We crashed together, kissing so hard I couldn't believe we were right next to a dead man still dripping blood onto the floor. Asphalt's hands were covered in blood, and they caressed me, but I didn't care. Blackjack watched from the corner, an approving look on his face. He knew better than we did what kind of therapy we needed. Nothing except ripping the demon who'd hurt us to pieces would do. This was an exorcism, freedom in the making. Asphalt took my mouth with the same hunger as before, maybe more. He kissed me like we'd been apart for years, jamming his tongue down on mine and sweeping his heat through my mouth. My nipples hardened, and all the trauma I'd feared would linger from the last 24 hours faded. It wouldn't disappear overnight. Oh, no. There'd be nightmares, bad memories, and bleak doubts aplenty. But with the dead man in the chair gone forever, and his men long since buried, we'd never have to be afraid again. They couldn't haunt us, couldn't ruin the bright future we'd have from this day forward.
"It's done, Ellie Joe. I don't give a fuck what happened before. He's dead. The only shithead responsible for your suffering. Soon as his bones are in the ground, we won't think about his evil ass ever again."
We kissed again, twined lips and tongues, until I sensed Blackjack coming up behind us.
"You're doing the right thing, kids. I'll make sure he's holed away and put away deep. You two make sure the darkness goes with him."
The older man slapped us both on the shoulders and squeezed with a grip so strong it surprised me. Then, without another word, he turned and left, closing the door behind him. Asphalt took my hand, and we turned to take one last look at the very last dragon I hoped he'd ever slay for me.
"He'll rot in hell longer than that pile of shit rots in the ground,"
he growled. I turned, pushing myself into him, running my hands down my man's hard chest. "Baby, don't worry about it. We've got bigger things to worry about now." His face tensed.
"Yeah? Like what?"
"Finding somewhere to live in this town, for one." I smiled, pushing my hands harder on his chest, admiring the sharp, strong cuts between each muscle clinging to his bones. "Then I'm going to remind you the man you killed will never, ever leave a billionth of the impression you've made on me. Shit, Asphalt, you own me. It's been a long road getting here, but I love it. I'm proud of it, and I'm going to wear your name all over me in the years to come." "Fuck." He grinned and pulled me tight, dipping me in his arms for another lightning-hot kiss. I meant every word. I'd been his bride from the start of this insanity, when it was the last thing I'd wanted. Now, I couldn't imagine anything else. He'd saved my life several times over, put down the ones who hurt me, and rescued my only flesh and blood, too. This man deserved the moon. I'd give it to him time and time again. "Damn," I swore, breaking the kiss as I remembered something.
What?
We need to find Daddy. He'll need someone to drive him back to Tacoma. I guess he's staying with the club, except as an emeritus now. It's hard enough for him. He won't want to spend a second longer than he really needs to in Tacoma.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to your old man myself. Let's go.
Smiling, with his hand in mine, we walked out the door. Black Jack waited at the end of the hall with a couple prospects and the brother named Stryker. As soon as he saw us leaving, slamming the door behind us without one more glance at the dead mafia man, the Prez nodded to his men.
Take this son of a bitch out to the deepest part of the swamp. He doesn't deserve an eternity with dry ground and fresh dirt after the shit he pulled.
I closed my eyes for a second as we headed for the bar, savoring the grim finality. The animal who'd tortured me and done so much damage to my father was gone forever. It was up to us to fill the void he'd left behind with so much kick-ass happiness we'd be able to hear the black dragons screaming their envy in hell. You need a refill. Here. I sat down at the bar next to Daddy as Asphalt walked behind it, pulled out a fresh bottle of Jack, and sloshed fresh whiskey into my father's empty glass. He turned his head like a turtle to face my man, the slowest look in the world.
What's the fucking point? He growled, pushing the glass further away.
Okay, that really hurt. I tried not to think about all the emotional and physical agony ripping through him right now, but the pain rolled off him in vast psychic waves, so black and brutal I could barely handle sitting on the stool next to my father without bursting into tears. Daddy, please. He's trying to help. We both are. He gave me a sharp look as I wrapped my arms around him. At first, he moved like he wanted to brush me off, but then he relaxed when he saw his missing hand. He still hadn't internalized it. They'd only ripped it off him a week ago, but it might as well have been an entire lifetime, suffering with this new disability. Undaunted, Asphalt grabbed the glass, walked out to join us on a bar stool, and set it down in front of my father on the counter.
You're alive and breathing, Gil. You've got a future. That's more than this club can say for a lot of guys.
He paused, narrowing his eyes, taking a pull off his own beer.
I can't imagine the shit you're going through. Everything those fuckers stole, the things they did, they fucked all hard. But Ellie and I are moving on. We're forgetting the past, only focusing on what's ahead. You can do the same. No matter what the fuck happened, you've got a daughter who wants you in her life, even after the shit you pulled. Tell me that counts for something.
I held my breath. Daddy would either accept his little pep talk, or he'd smash his good hand across my lover's handsome face.
You're an absolute bastard,
he snarled at Asphalt, finally lifting his drink to his lips and pouring it all back in one gulp. The glass clinked on the counter when he'd finished.
Too bad my little girl loves you. I don't give a shit what the dragons did to me. I had it coming for my fucking sins, my mistakes. It's what they did to Ellie, right in front of me, that's gonna hound me till the end of my fucked up life. It doesn't need to, Asphalt said. Z's dead. I killed the motherfucker with my own bare hands, less than an hour ago. They're dragging his carcass away right now. I'm gonna let what he did die with him. It's the only shit that makes sense. The only thing that'll keep us sane and happy.
He left out the part about my participation in the murder. Daddy couldn't know I'd been corrupted in blood, too.
Ass fuck. I don't need your advice.
Ouch. I cringed when I heard the cruel name he'd used before, the one I'd been hearing for years on the rare occasions when he even mentioned his name in our house.
I need you to keep her company. Keep protecting her, loving her like I can't.
Daddy looked up, and the two men locked eyes.
You saved my girl several times. I know you love her, too. That's good enough for me.
His words took me by total surprise. Suddenly I couldn't hold in my smile. The tears I'd been holding inside spilled down my cheeks as I threw my arms around him, thanking him with kisses on both cheeks. His face was so rough beneath my lips. He'd have lingering reminders of the sad hell we'd experienced all over his body for years to come. But the jagged cuts were healing, little by little. They'd get a little better each day, just like the hole in my heart.
Okay.
Daddy pushed me away softly, a familiar kindness shining in his eyes.
We're never gonna be one big happy family. But I can live with the two of you being hitched for real. If you ever come up to Tacoma once you start popping out babies, you'll always have a place to stay.
Asphalt smiled. We both knew my father had just given him the closest thing he'd ever get to a stamp of approval.
Deal, Gil. And you're welcome here in Redding any time.
He held out his hand. Daddy took Asphalt's hand and they shook for all of 2 seconds, a piece for the history books. Or at least the biggest truce I'd ever seen in my screwed-up world.
You've gotta be fucking kidding. Once I'm in the truck home, riding with Line and the boys, there's no goddamn way I'm ever coming back to this godforsaken clubhouse. I'm no prez anymore. I don't deserve it. Shit, I'm no good for riding, shooting, and fuck knows what else with a damned stump.
You're still good for admitting your mistakes. Knowing right from wrong, I whispered, putting another arm over his shoulder. I twisted, pushing his stool until it spun him around, ready for a proper hug. You'll always be my dad. I don't care what happens with the club. This time Daddy didn't resist. He held me tight as he could with both arms, and I held him. Before he let go, I leaned close and whispered, "That arm's still good for giving the warmest hugs I've known since I was just a kid. Mom always said the same thing, and she was right. God damn it, Daddy, you're going to be okay. You're going to be happy. Everybody sitting next to each other at this bar is going to live the rest of their lives with smiles on their faces. That's how we beat the dragons for real." When he finally turned to the bar for another drink, he had tears in his eyes, with a smile behind them in the darkness. Asphalt stood up, took me by the wrist, and jerked me to my feet.
Let's get out of here, babe. We've got some shopping to do.
1 week later.
Ass up. Hands behind your back, babe.
Asphalt grunted, pulling my wrists together behind me when I complied.
Fucking shit. I'm never gonna get tired of seeing my brand all over you.
I smiled, enjoying the next few seconds of naked anticipation before he mounted me from behind with a growl. 1 apartment, 1 move, 1 new tattoo later, and we were about to reap some serious rewards. I'd gotten his name imprinted on my left ass cheek in a second brand. Property of Asphalt. 2 lightning streaks beside it, a target for his eyes as well as his hands when he decided I deserved to be spanked. This evening, though, his cock just slammed me raw. I pushed my fingers through his and held on, bound by his hands, his personal fuck toy for tonight, and every night after. If servicing his body as his old lady, his wife, and his woman was my duty, then I must have been the most eager, obedient girl on the planet. We hadn't stopped fucking since the move several days ago, sharing a real bed for the first time together. Holy shit, what a workout we gave it. Asphalt growled a little more with every stroke, his hips crashing into mine. Sweet, familiar tension roiled me near my center. I pushed back at him a little harder each time, bucking against his cock, always desperate to draw him deeper. We fucked like the animals we were. My vision went white after a few more bone-shaking strokes, and the fist holding my wrists closed tighter. He pulled me up against him, using my arms for extra leverage, fucking me even harder. "Sweet Jesus," I rasped. "Fuck. Yeah, fuck." I'd come to know that word like hello and goodbye. It was the only sound I could make before he tossed me over the edge, into the churning, white-hot pleasure tearing through me. I said it, panted it, screamed it, and I'd always lost everything except that word when I came, feeling my pussy clenching on his cock, hungry to wring every drop of cum he had inside me.
Fucking hell, you're hot tonight. So fucking tight. All fucking mine.
His tempo rose, and his cock plunged deeper, pushing me into total, blissful submission. God, I loved this badass. I'd really fallen for his cock, too, a total junkie for the only man I'd ever have inside me, the only one who'd fuck me, please me, and knock me up when the time came. Maybe today. We'd both discussed it. All the drama and danger of the past few weeks meant I'd gotten dangerously sloppy with my birth control. I'd decided to go off it with his blessing, and now there was nothing between my womb and his seed, the deepest branding an outlaw biker could give his old lady. Beyond ink, words, and love itself, he took me like a wild beast, trying to get me pregnant, and I wanted it at some deep, dark, primal level I couldn't understand.
Oh, fuck,
Asphalt rumbled, making me smile. I loved it when he went into a frenzy. He worked for every single spark of his pleasure, fucking me harder. I had to make him explode, pull him deep inside me, grind his cock inside me. Fuck me, I growled back at him. He met my challenge with more savage thrusts, his free hand wrapped around my waist, pinning me down, and he picked his entire body up and slammed it into me, crashing down again and again. His pure masculine strength drove us both to heaven. When I reached it again, my toes curling and my fingernails twisting in the sheets, I shrieked myself breathless. This time he came with me, roaring, cursing, fucking my whole body with his, wedging me against the mattress as he turned me into a vessel for his seed.
Shit, baby girl. No fucking clue what you do to me. All I know is I'll never, ever stop.
He paused just long enough to pull badly needed air into his lungs.
Come the fuck with me.
His hand twisted in my hair. He yanked it hard while my back arched with pleasure. His cock pushed deep, and he held it there, making me feel the imminent flood as he swelled. Damn! My eyes rolled as he roared, holding himself inside me, hurling hot seeds straight from his balls. His cock jerked, pulsed, shot his load into my depths, and every single drop burned me so good I couldn't hold back. I came all over again, my eyes rolling into my head. Burying my face into the cool sheets was the only relief from the fireball incinerating my entire body, blinding me, lashing me from head to toe with the frenzied pleasure he'd addicted me to. We came so fucking hard my breath stopped, suspended in that timeless space of twitching flesh and sweaty skin. I wished we could stay there forever, even if the intensity would have killed us both. His cock kept pumping, and he rubbed it deeper into my sucking pussy. My teeth bit into a rough fold in the sheets to make sure my heart didn't stop. Pure pleasure overwhelmed me and retreated like a hurricane, slow as sin. I turned my face and let out a loud gasp before breathing again. Asphalt groaned, relaxing his muscles with me, holding his dying hardness inside me as long as he could. Jesus, he wanted that kid, and I wanted to give him one. We were way beyond sex. Every time we fucked, we healed. The new bed gave us a springboard for the only therapy we needed, a shortcut to fucking out the last of our grief, our pain, and a road straight to our future. I moaned as I felt him slide out of me, always hating the empty shock. When two souls became one like ours did every time he came inside me, it hurt to have it stolen away, if only for a couple seconds. He eased off. My body ached deliciously as I twisted toward him. He laid down on his back, pulling me close to his chest. My lips were instantly on his, as starved for him as the first night we kissed on Daddy's doorstep half a lifetime ago. I couldn't have imagined my disaster of a prom night would ever lead to this. Hell, I couldn't imagine him, his arms folded around me, running one hand down to the fresh ink forever branded into my ass.
Wish you had a clue how much I love this, Hellbell.
He kissed me again, smiling as he pulled away.
Shit, I'm gonna have to buy you some knee pads next. I want to see my name glistening on your skin every single time we're fucking.
Oh, I thought we put the new furniture across from us for a reason. Grinning, I pointed, and we both turned to our reflection in the big mirror as he straightened up to get a better look. He'd left the furniture crap mostly to me. I'd chosen well. His eyes lit up when he found my latest surprise. I hadn't forgotten our night in the hotel. How could I ever? This man had bent me over and fucked me in front of our reflection, stretching my eyes wide open to see the delirious love and lust in my own eyes when he came inside me. Now I straddled him, spread my legs wide, and pulled him into my slick pussy. "You can see my back in the mirror, right?"
"Yeah,"
he growled, licking his lips, grabbing for my ass. I moaned as his cock sprang to life, pushed up inside me, using our juices from the last fuck as extra lube. We glided to a slow, fiery release like messed-up angels. He fucked me so hard I thought I'd fly through the ceiling, if only his hands didn't grip my ass so tight. He pinched my cheeks hard, made them hurt, the kind of sexy pain my brain absolutely loved. My lips parted in the first moan of many. "Fuck me," I whispered softly, unable to hide the rough desperation creeping into my voice. He doubled his speed, slamming into me so hard his balls swung, clapping my flesh. We fucked, we rocked, we kissed each time I leaned down, devouring each other. My pussy already ached for more of his cum. I wanted every last drop out of his balls buried deep inside me. My hips jerked into his, swallowing his huge length. Deeper, faster, harder, so fucking good. As soon as he felt me tensing, racing toward another climax, he pushed one hand between my legs. His fingers found my clit, and I was gone. I threw myself backward, fucking him deeper still, catching myself with my hands behind me. Asphalt fucked me wild for the next 30 seconds. All I needed to come so hard, I thought I'd found paradise several times over. Halfway through it, he came, growling, twisting his hips into mine, pulling me close. He gripped me like an owner. He clenched his fingers into my flesh for dear life, like he needed me to live, and I smiled through my world-breaking orgasm because I knew he did. Shit, I needed him. I needed this, just as much as I needed my pussy to keep squeezing his cock, stealing his cum, draining all the heat from the tip of his cock.
Holy fuck. Almost made me blind, woman," he growled, smashing me against his chest when we could finally speak again. "What the hell's gotten into you today?"
"We have an extra room, and I don't want it to be empty for long. I'm working overtime to give you a family, baby." The words still sounded strange leaving my mouth. I'd never plunged into a beautiful, life-changing thing like this, but after all the hurt and heartache getting here, I did it without a second more of hesitation. I did it for him, my love, my life, my Austin.
"Guess I should have known," he said with a grin. "Fuck, babe, you know I'm ready. Only wish I had 5 more goddamned balls to keep you full 24/7.
I laughed. So ridiculous and weirdly sweet. Running my fingers across his face, I moved the tips over his head, feeling the stubble coming up, softer than the stuff lining his jaw. "What's this? Don't tell me you've decided to drop the cue ball look."
"Shit changes, babe," he said mysteriously. "Life's not all about breaking heads and boozing. Fuck, there's only a couple brothers left riding free and wild. I'm ready as hell for a family too, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna have my son thinking he's fucked into growing up bald."
"Yeah," I giggled, straining to wonder what he'd look like with a nice thick head of hair. He'd be just as handsome, I knew that much. But what if you get a girl for your firstborn?
"Then she knows she'll get your good looks," he said, stamping his lips against my neck, "and I'm sure as hell not raining all over him by making her think she won't get this beautiful hair because her old man's got nothing on top."
I purred when he fisted my locks and pulled them one more time. "Whatever, Dad. I see you've thought of everything."
"Babe, you don't know the fucking half of it."
12. Drive on. Asphalt. 6 months later. Our turn. Brass Rabbit and Roman stood next to the altar, their old ladies on their arms, little Caleb squirming in Sally's. Everybody here was getting officially hitched or renewing their vows today, and now it was our turn. I grabbed Ellie's little hand and stepped up, staring the Prez and our brother-turned-priest Angus right in the eyes. "You've been a fine example to everyone, son," Blackjack said. The old man took my shoulder and gave it a fatherly squeeze. He looked at Ellie. "Both of you. It's only right you're joining the party today, doing this the way it should have gone down the first time." Elbel and I shared a look. Christ help her, she blushed, a little remnant of the sweet virgin girl I'd married lingering in the badass bride carrying my kid. "Don't be shy, babe," I whispered. The church had gone so damned quiet I felt like I was talking in a library. "I took this hand when I didn't have a choice, and I still wanted it then. Needed to own you so bad I almost fucking died," I said loudly, so the rowdy gathering of brothers surrounding us could hear. I wanted her to hear it more than anybody else, but I didn't give a shit if the whole damned world found out the lunatic love I had for this girl. Today I know I've earned it. I've killed for your heart, babe, almost died for it several times over, and I'd do it all over again without a shred of hesitation. You've given me things no woman ever will, and there's so much more on the way. Sometimes it makes my fucking head spin." She smiled and suppressed a laugh, blushing again as my eyes fell down. The girl wasn't stupid. She knew exactly what I was looking at. The little bump on her belly got bigger every day. I reached out, laid my free hand on it, and squeezed her hand tighter. "Things are changing in this club all the time. 2 brothers turned newlyweds today, 2 more renewing their vows. Who the hell knows what's next?" I paused, trying not to notice how dangerously fuckable she looked wearing my brand on her new jacket. Thing had property of asphalt stitched on the backside, lightning bolts by the side. Mine, all fucking mine. I was damned glad it wasn't staring me in the face just then, or I'd have lost my mind. "Peace and plenty," Blackjack said, finishing for me with a wink. "Every man standing here with his girl has fought, worked, and bled for what we have today. There's no going back for this club. I could stand here and rehash all the battles and sorrows we've all faced. There's no need. Tell her, son. Give her your promise." Shit. These grand speeches had never been my thing, but suddenly I had a fire in my heart. I snatched Ellie's hands in both of mine, held them up to my lips, and kissed her cool skin. Her blood burned. So did the beautiful spark rising in her clear blue eyes. "Peace and plenty's for the club, and we're all happy to have it. But you and me, Ellie Joe, we've got love. I know you feel it every night when you're pressed up against me. It's there, whether we're staring at the ceiling or the stars or just each other. Hell, I feel it every time you're on my bike, holding me so tight I think we're going to become one right there on the open road." I paused and turned, watching her blot away a happy tear, staring at the brothers gathered around us. My boys all held their women close. All the girls were crying, overwhelmed by the raw fucking emotion of the day. We were the closing act. Out in the pews, Missy's little sis, Jackie, wept like the schoolgirl she was. I grinned, briefly wondering what kind of crazy shit lay ahead for her in the years to come if she kept close to this MC. "Babe, that shit they say about a man getting acclimated, getting bored with his woman, it's not true. Not even fucking close. Every day I wake up with you weighing heavier on my mind. Your sunrise and sunset. I think about you when I'm on my runs and sitting in church with the boys, even when you're laying next to me. No bullshit. Just truth. All of it." The Prez shot me the evil eye for a second when I said the part about being distracted in church. Then he shook his head and smiled. Club business took a back seat to all this crazy fucking love today. Half the guys here are gonna laugh. Everybody else standing up here knows exactly what I'm talking about. I looked at my brothers, and they all wore the same "fuck yes" expression. Fuck if that matters. The only thing that's ever meant a damn thing to me is right in front of me. I grabbed her, pulled her close, loving the little bulge in her belly against my abs. "Love you every damn day of my life, Elbel. I'd relive our wedding every morning if I could, and I'm gonna feel the same way till my heart stops pounding in my chest. You're mine, baby, glued to my life like cement. You're still gonna be my girl when I'm too damned old to even tear across the country anymore." My hand went to the back of her head. She didn't need any encouragement to smash her mouth down against mine. I devoured that woman, kissed her with the same crazy intensity we'd shared for months, the flame I couldn't believe I'd ever lived without. "I love you," she hissed into my ear, digging her fingernails into my back, and then again, louder, when I finally broke the kiss. "Love you forever, Asphalt." Didn't think anybody heard her except for me over the loud shouts of the crowd. Didn't matter either. This woman and me, we went to our own private universe lit with love and lust, even when we were surrounded by about 100 people. "Kiss her one more time and hit the road, son," Blackjack said. "This club has earned some happiness in every single mile we've won." I nodded at the prez. He didn't have a woman at his side. Shit, I'd never so much as seen him pull one of the club sluts into his office, but he was celebrating too. We'd gone 6 months without a fucking shootout. 6 months with nobody in the clubhouse taking more serious damage than a bad hangover. Goddamned record breaker. Times were changing for sure, and the bear finally meant something more than blood and violence. We'd kept our freedom, and now we'd added all the other glorious shit to our list. Love, family, brotherhood. "Let's burn some fucking rubber!" Roman roared. "We got a long haul to Oregon, and we ought to be there by sunset." Everyone laughed. The giant had gotten unhinged today, his stoic shit wearing down. He threw a huge arm over his girl, and they walked over with Brass and Missy, passing their toddler to Jackie, who'd be watching the kid while they got some alone time. "See that shit, Illy Joe? That's going to be us in a few more months." She smiled at me, and I leaned closer, putting my lips against her throat. "Guess you'd better fuck me a few more times to make up for what we'll miss when the baby comes," she teased. I looked at her like she'd lost her fucking mind. The wicked smirk on her sweet lips only made my cock hammer harder in my jeans. "You better be fucking kidding, woman," I growled, sweeping her into my arms. "We'll be up fucking all night once we get to the campsite, and we're not going to stop, not even when we're spending our nights on 2 hours of sleep running after the kids. You think you're ever getting a break from this? You've got another think coming." I kissed her harder this time, my tongue probing deep into her mouth. Found her sweet little tongue, flicked it, and ruled it. I fucked her lips with my tongue the same way I'd glide between her legs later tonight. Fuck. Blood pounded through my dick, anticipation streaking through me like a drug. How the hell did she taste so perfect every single second? "I hope so. Last thing I'd ever want is my old man going soft," she purred, tipping her face away from mine before I could steal more. "This is like our wedding night, right? The one we should have had?" I grinned. "Damn straight." Everybody wearing a Grizzlies MC patch rode out in formation, probably the last time I'd ride with all my boys and their girls before Ellie Joe got too big for my bike. Fuck if I didn't love her anyway. Shit, truth be told, I loved her more with that bump in her belly, a constant reminder that we'd become man and wife the deepest way we could. We'd said our vows at the altar. I'd renew them with her every damned year if it'd make her happy, but no vows could ever compare to the ones we'd written in flesh and blood. We wouldn't be alone. Our club would look like a goddamn nursery in the next couple years now that the rest of the brothers had gotten hitched. Brass and Missy, Rabbit and Krista, Sally and Roman. Even Stryker and the other prospects would probably shack up before long, putting the dwindling numbers of sluts who came to our club parties out of work for good. There'd always be bastards who fucked around on their girls, too, and I'd never get their stupid asses. The girl riding pressed up behind me had felt like my bride forever, but we'd just got through with the closest thing we'd had to a real wedding, seeing how the first one was a clusterfuck of outside obligations. Never again. There'd always be duties to my patch and my brothers, sure, but everything involving this woman from here on out was for us. Us. That fucking phrase made me burn. Us. That single word caused my blood to heat and my pulse to pound straight into my cock. Us. I couldn't wait till we had a family in front of us, even if it meant getting older and grayer. Shit, especially if it meant that. Just as long as it was with her, having our kids at the table every night or bouncing on my knee while I told them crazy tales about awesome warriors and vile bastards who deserved to die. We rode on out of Redding, straight to our big club honeymoon getaway in the lush cedar wilds across the state line. The whole Grizzlies brotherhood was riding into a new chapter that would take years to write. I couldn't wait to make a few more words tonight with Ellie, next to the big fire we'd build, only heading back to our tent when we were good and ready to fuck, to merge, to live and love. The guys and their girls all sprawled out around the fire. Jackie put down Caleb a couple hours ago, and we gathered around the fire, the wide, starry sky twinkling above us. "Why so heavy tonight, Press?" Brass said, pausing to plant another kiss on Missy's cheek. "I mean, shit, you've earned it more than anybody. Don't know how the fuck you survived all those years when this club was going downhill, rudderless as all hell." "There's always good times in the muck, son. There's always purpose, direction. A man's life ought to have light, darkness, and enough fire to burn down the universe." Blackjack looked up, his long gray hair blowing as a wind cut through our camp. He stared right at me and Ellie. "You too over there. Seeds grown straight from pitch-black soil." His eyes moved over us, stopping on the brothers and their girls one by one. I held Ellie tighter, giving the Prez a silent nod. None of this would have been possible without the chieftain sitting in front of us, deep in his thoughts and words. Sometimes he waxed fucking poetic, a philosopher king if there ever was one. "Nobody sitting by the fire tonight hasn't been gutted at some point," Blackjack said. "Whether they've lost their mothers, their fathers, or just a piece of themselves some long, dark night, they survived. They lived to burn higher and brighter. Damn it, boys and girls, we've all beat the odds. There were plenty of times on the road when our guns came out that I thought I'd lose good men. I thought I'd have to break news about being widows to the girls here, or else drown our brothers in booze and bitches after some sorry bastards killed their girls dead." He stood up slowly, shaking off the pain in his leg. Shit wasn't getting any better, and yet the crazy SLB kept leading us straight into peace and war. Nothing could keep him down, same as every man here by the fire tonight. "We beat the fucking odds, boys, and don't you ever forget it." He pointed to all of us, taking a long sip off his beer bottle. "You're married, you've got families coming, you're living the good life, like every man and woman should, and it's not going to be taken for granted." "Fuck no," Roman belted out, pulling Sally a little closer on his lap. "Doesn't matter how much we bled, or how many assholes we've killed in the past. Doesn't matter how much more of that's ahead," the Prez continued. "If any jackals are crazy enough to sink their teeth into our happy peace, they'll die, plain and simple. As long as this big-ass family's alive, breathing, and still able to love each other like brothers and sisters should, we own the world." "Never gonna let go of it neither, Prez. The whole damned world's ours," Rabbit growled, staring into Krista's smiling, scarred face. "We've got that motherfucker by the throat, tonight and forever." They kissed. Somewhere in a nearby tent, Caleb cried, and we heard Jackie's soft, young voice trying to soothe him through the silence. "Kids, hope you're both ready," Sally said, shooting Ellie a wink before turning to Roman. "Come on, baby, we'd better see what he wants." The giant stood up, nodded a good night to us all, and disappeared with his girl. The rest of the couples all sat quiet, while Blackjack stared into the fire, knocking down his beer with new vigor. "This fire belongs to lovers," the Prez said, throwing his bottle into the waste bin and picking up a new one from the case. "Enjoy the stars, sons. You don't know how fucking special they can be. Here for an instant, bright as a candle, and snuffed out just as easy." Rabbit, Brass, and me all shared a look. "What's gotten into him?" I growled, just as baffled as anyone once the crunch of Blackjack's boots in the dirt had totally faded. Rabbit shrugged, running one hand through his hair. "He's branching off from camp tomorrow, like he said. Going out to Missoula for a day or two by himself to meet with the devils or some shit. The Prez is always all business, all the fucking time when he's not doing fancy-ass speeches for us." "The man's a walking mystery. He's earned it," I said, watching the Prez's silhouette disappear through the trees. "We'd all be missing our heads from a cartel blade or worse if it wasn't for him. Hope he finds whatever the fuck he's looking for out there all alone." "It's probably just the long trip up here," Ellie said with a yawn. "God, I'm tired." Goddamned adorable. Really. Did she seriously think I'd let her sleep without fucking her completely senseless? I pulled her onto my lap and gave her another long, fiery kiss. Didn't take long before all the brothers were trying to one-up each other with the girls on their laps. We kissed, we made our women moan, we fought to stay by the cozy fire till the first man lost his nerve and headed for his tent. Brass, Missy moaned, taking the Veep by the cheeks and staring into his eyes. Let's get out of here already. He grinned, losing his battle. Once, he'd been a junkie, and now it was plain as fucking day my brother had a new addiction. Brass stood and mumbled a good night, pulling Missy with him, taking half a bottle of whiskey to help keep them warm. I kissed Ellie harder. My hands went to her ass, jerked her softly against my hips, making damn sure she felt the rock-hard need I had underneath my jeans. The fresh air out here in the wilderness had nothing on this woman. I needed her like fucking oxygen. Her legs quivered as she hooked them tighter around me, her lips moving in a circle. When my hard-on hit her clit through her own ivory-white jeans, she nearly scratched blood down my neck. We hurt so damned good together, and we'd be doing a lot of that tonight. Rabbit. Crystal was the next domino to fall. I looked over my woman's shoulder and saw her hands moving up underneath his shirt, gliding along his smooth back muscles. My brother scratched his stubble, looked at me, and accepted defeat. He stood up, holding his old lady in his arms. See you in the morning, brother. We've got to turn in for the night. Some night bird caterwauled in the distance. I listened to their footsteps disappear, then the lone disruption of the zipper going up on their tent. Alone at last. I stared into Ellie's eyes, feeling her legs unhook from mine, her little hand tugging on mine. Come on, baby. I think I want you more than any woman here wants her man, and I'm going to prove it. She licked her lips. Fuck me stupid. My cock ached from tip to sack. The girl was too damned good at being enticing. So fucking enticing I almost lost my shit, flipped her around and spanked her in front of the fire we'd have to put out before we went inside. No. I took her wrist in my hand and jerked her back before she got any bright ideas about leading me to the tent. Get back on my lap where you belong. Huh? I wasn't waiting around. I pulled her back into place, and once she was on my knee, put my hand down her jeans. Hungry fingers disappeared down her waistband through her panties. I found the wetness waiting for me and put my lips on her throat to stifle my growl. Oh, God! Ellie's big blue eyes rolled toward the fire, and she moaned again. Now she understood. Out here in nature with nothing but this fire watching, we could fuck like the animals we were. I went for her zipper, tugging on her pants, desperate to free her to the night and my own manic fucking lust. Austin, really? She panted, her eyes opening in disbelief. Out here? What if somebody sees us? My head snapped back, and I laughed. Get real, babe. They're all in their tents, balls deep in their own lust by now, same as we're about to be. Just to reassure her, I reached for the log next to me and threw it on the fire. Sparks shot into the night as the fire consumed the new wood, crackling and popping like gunfire. Come closer, I ordered, jerking her head to my chest. You'll hear something louder going off in my blood than that shit burning up in front of us. I need you, Elbel. Out here. Right now. Simple, even if it wasn't rational. The crazy-ass longing for this girl didn't think, and it sure as fuck wasn't patient. I ripped her pants down with a snarl and then jerked her panties to her knees. Lifting her up, I took my own pants down, bringing her down onto my lap. Whatever doubts she had, I wrecked them when I thrust up into her, filled her hot, sweet little cunt with every inch of my hungry cock, stretching her open, feeling her tense and dig her nails into my back. You better ride me good if you want us in that tent tonight, I growled into her ear. Give me the love and hate, babe. Everything you've got. All we're ever gonna share. I want you jerking on my cock like a shot to the fucking heart. Bastard! She cursed as I dragged her deeper onto my cock, filling her completely, grinding her clit with my pubic bone. She tried to call out again, but the squeal sticking in her throat choked her off. Loved this shit. I loved fucking her so hard she couldn't breathe. I kissed her, moving my hips harder, faster, then pulled back to let her suck more air down her throat. This dick could have pounded her till she passed the fuck out, but I couldn't have our kid getting oxygen deprived in her womb. Breathe, baby, I growled, clenching my fingers on her ass, jerking her against me with more force each time. You're gonna come for me so hard and good you can't see straight. Please, she whimpered, begging me to fuck her harder still. With a snarl, I pushed her off my lap, then bent her over, grounding her hands on the rock. I took her from behind and let my balls swing, slapping her clit each time I drove deep. She tensed up, gushed, and tried to scream within seconds. I clapped my hand over her mouth, cursing when she bit into my finger, pushing the pleasure back into her lips. Wasn't letting anything escape into the night. Her pleasure, her moans, her screams belonged to me. I let the fire behind us warm my ass while I fucked her like a freight train straight through her first orgasm of many. Her pussy juiced all over my dick, growing hotter and wetter and tighter all the time. "You're gonna kill me one of these days, baby girl," I growled, the fire in my balls growing as strong as the one toasting my backside. "I'll fuck you so hard my damned head pops from everything you've given me." "No," she moaned through my fingers, kissing over the bite mark the little minx had left on my hand. "Yeah, fuck yeah." Had to say it twice. I wouldn't fucking settle for anything else. She had to believe me. I fucked this girl honest, groaning my pleasure a minute later, my balls hitting overload, crazy to spit more cum into her. I railed her with all my might. Her tits swung like pendulums while I shook every inch of her, fucking her with everything I had, everything that said it like words couldn't. My fucking property. Ellie Joe's perfect pussy squeezed my cock. She came again, and I fucking lost it. My head snapped back so far I could see the stars rolling in the blackness while my load hurled out my dick. I shot the thickest ropes of my life into her since the night I knocked her up, pushed my cock deep and unloaded with every muscle twitching, a full body release like she just took half my soul. All these months and the drug-like effect of coming inside this woman still hadn't faded. There was a difference between fucking the sluts of the distant past and the love of my life, the mother of my kids, the woman I'd claimed from here till kingdom come. And I'd never forget it. How the hell could I? The fire rampaging through my veins told me every time I pushed deep like this. My balls pulsed a reminder so fucking hard it made my ears ring. Ellie Joe took every inch of me to the absolute limits like she did every night, pulling out my cum, taking a piece of me to heaven. I came my fucking brains out. I gave her my soul, and she gave me something I'd be dreaming about when we were finally spent. Her moaning, clenching, biting release. Everything I gave to her like no man ever would. "Fuck, fuck, fuck," I whispered, pulling out of her an eternity later. Couldn't force my brain to think anything else after coming together like that. She rolled, closing her legs like a good girl to hold my seed in, staring me in the eyes. I doused out the fire with a bucket of water nearby, then rolled up my pants. I frowned when she did the same, only consoling myself with the fact that I'd be ripping all that shit off in a couple more minutes back in the tent. "You know, I racked my brains to tell you how much I love you back there at the church before we left Reading," she said softly, holding my hand, looking into the dying embers in the fire pit. "I couldn't find words. Nothing comes close when it's all about you, Austin. You saved my life. Not just with the Chinese, I mean, this." She brought a hand to her belly. "I never thought I could be so happy, so fulfilled. You've given me a future, a way to be inside the club without losing my mind. Thank you, love. I'll never forget it." The girl leaned on her tiptoes and gave me a kiss so hot it was like we hadn't even fucked. My dick sprang to life, begging to be inside her again. I turned her around, ran my fingers through her soft blonde hair, then put my lips where they belonged on hers before I said anything. "Babe, you don't have to thank me for shit or sing my ass sonnets. When you're screaming your lungs out underneath me and exploding on my cock, that's how I know you love me. When I see my face getting older and wiser in those blue eyes, I know. You're fucking crazy if you think you've got to prove anything, or if you think I'd ever doubt it." "You'd better kiss me and come closer to get a better look," she said, smiling, taking a long look at the stars before meeting my eyes. "It's such a beautiful night." "Yeah, Hellbell, but it's barely different than any other. We're going to be having nights like this for a long fucking time. Count on it, as sure as you'll be rocking our kid to sleep by winter." "Oh, I will, you wonderful bastard." I smiled into our next kiss. These getaways were great. The club needed ceremony sometimes, and so did we as a couple, but fuck. Honestly, I'd be renewing our vows every single day. I did it every time I took these lips, listened to her voice, pinned her down, and felt her shaking under me. About a minute later, we managed to pull away just long enough to crawl into our tent underneath the starry sky. We renewed our vows all damned night, and probably forged a few new ones in dirt and grit and lust. I loved this woman so much I couldn't believe I'd wasted so much time on other shit. I remembered the first time those bright blue eyes gave me the world when we were dumb kids, staring at me through the spokes of her screwed-up bike tire as I kneeled down to give her a hand. Half an eternity ago, and it was still as fucking beautiful as yesterday. I passed the hell out next to my woman with a smile on my face. This concludes Outlaw's Vow by Nicole Snow. Narrated by Tatiana Sokolov and Mason Lloyd. Copyright 2015 by Nicole Snow. This unabridged audiobook is published by arrangement with Nicole Snow and was produced in the year 2016 by Tantor Media Incorporated, a division of Recorded Books which holds the copyright thereto. Please visit tantor.com for more information on our growing library of unabridged audiobooks and to take advantage of special offers.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Ollie a little closer on his lap. Doesn't matter how much we bled or how many assholes we've killed in the past. Doesn't matter how much more of that's ahead, the Prez continued. If any jackals are crazy enough to sink their teeth into our happy peace, they'll die. Plain and simple. As long as this big-ass family's alive, breathing, and still able to love each other like brothers and sisters should, we own the world. Never gonna let go of it neither, Prez. The whole damned world's ours, Rabbit growled, staring into Krista's smiling, scarred face. We've got that motherfucker by the throat, tonight and forever. They kissed. Somewhere in a nearby tent, Caleb cried, and we heard Jackie's soft, young voice trying to soothe him through the silence. Kids, hope you're both ready, Sally said, shooting Ellie a wink before turning to Roman. Come on, baby, we'd better see what he wants. The giant stood up, nodded a good night to us all, and disappeared with his girl. The rest of the couples all sat quiet, while Blackjack stared into the fire, knocking down his beer with new vigor. This fire belongs to lovers, the Prez said, throwing his bottle into the waste bin and picking up a new one from the case. Enjoy the stars, sons. You don't know how fucking special they can be. Here for an instant, bright as a candle. It snuffed out just as easy. Rabbit, Brass, and me all shared a look. What's gotten into him? I growled, just as baffled as anyone once the crunch of Blackjack's boots on the dirt had totally faded. Rabbit shrugged, running one hand through his hair. He's branching off from camp tomorrow, like he said. Going out to Missoula for a day or two by himself to meet with the devils or some shit. The Prez is always all business, all the fucking time when he's not doing fancy-ass speeches for us. The man's a walking mystery. He's earned it, I said, watching the Prez's silhouette disappear through the trees. We'd all be missing our heads from a cartel blade or worse if it wasn't for him. Hope he finds whatever the fuck he's looking for out there all alone. It's probably just the long trip up here, Ellie said with a yawn. God, I'm tired. Goddamned adorable. Really. Did she seriously think I'd let her sleep without fucking her completely senseless? I pulled her onto my lap and gave her another long, fiery kiss. Didn't take long before all the brothers were trying to one-up each other with the girls on their laps. We kissed, we made our women moan, we fought to stay by the cozy fire till the first man lost his nerve and headed for his tent. Brass, Missy moaned, taking the Veep by the cheeks and staring into his eyes. Let's get out of here already. He grinned, losing his battle. Once, he'd been a junkie, and now it was plain as fucking day my brother had a new addiction. Brass stood and mumbled a good night, pulling Missy with him, taking half a bottle of whiskey to help keep them warm. I kissed Ellie harder. My hands went to her ass, jerked her softly against my hips, making damned sure she felt the rock-hard need I had underneath my jeans. The fresh air out here in the wilderness had nothing on this woman. I needed her like fucking oxygen. Her legs quivered as she hooked them tighter around me, her lips moving in a circle. When my hard-on hit her clit through her own ivory-white jeans, she nearly scratched blood down my neck. We hurt so damned good together, and we'd be doing a lot of that tonight. Rabbit. Krista was the next domino to fall. I looked over my woman's shoulder and saw her hands moving up underneath his shirt, gliding along his smooth back muscles. My brother scratched his stubble, looked at me, and accepted defeat. He stood up, holding his old lady in his arms. "See you in the morning, brother. We've got to turn in for the night." Some night bird caterwauled in the distance. I listened to their footsteps disappear, then the lone disruption of the zipper going up on their tent. Alone at last. I stared into Ellie's eyes, feeling her legs unhook from mine, her little hand tugging on mine. "Come on, baby. I think I want you more than any woman here wants her man, and I'm going to prove it." She licked her lips. Fuck me stupid. My cock ached from tip to sack. The girl was too damned good at being enticing. So fucking enticing I almost lost my shit, flipped her around and spanked her in front of the fire we'd have to put out before we went inside. No. I took her wrist in my hand and jerked her back before she got any bright ideas about leading me to the tent. "Get back on my lap where you belong." "Huh?" I wasn't waiting around. I pulled her back into place, and once she was on my knee, put my hand down her jeans. Hungry fingers disappeared down her waistband through her panties. I found the wetness waiting for me and put my lips on her throat to stifle my growl. Oh, God!" Ellie's big blue eyes rolled toward the fire, and she moaned again. Now she understood. Out here in nature with nothing but this fire watching, we could fuck like the animals we were. I went for her zipper, tugging on her pants, desperate to free her to the night and my own manic fucking lust. "Austin, really?" she panted, her eyes opening in disbelief. "Out here? What if somebody sees us?" My head snapped back, and I laughed. "Get real, babe. They're all in their tents, balls deep in their own lust by now, same as we're about to be." Just to reassure her, I reached for the log next to me and threw it on the fire. Sparks shot into the night as the fire consumed the new wood, crackling and popping like gunfire. "Come closer," I ordered, jerking her head to my chest. "You'll hear something louder going off in my blood than that shit burning up in front of us. I need you, Elbel. Out here. Right now." Simple, even if it wasn't rational. The crazy-ass longing for this girl didn't think, and it sure as fuck wasn't patient. I ripped her pants down with a snarl and then jerked her panties to her knees. Lifting her up, I took my own pants down, bringing her down onto my lap. Whatever doubts she had, I wrecked them when I thrust up into her, filled her hot, sweet little cunt with every inch of my hungry cock, stretching her open, feeling her tense and dig her nails into my back. "You better ride me good if you want us in that tent tonight," I growled into her ear. "Give me the love and hate, babe. Everything you've got. All we're ever gonna share. I want you jerking on my cock like a shot to the fucking heart." "Bastard!" she cursed as I dragged her deeper onto my cock, filling her completely, grinding her clit with my pubic bone. She tried to call out again, but the squeal sticking in her throat choked her off. Loved this shit. I loved fucking her so hard she couldn't breathe. I kissed her, moving my hips harder, faster, then pulled back to let her suck more air down her throat. This dick could have pounded her till she passed the fuck out, but I couldn't have our kid getting oxygen deprived in her womb. "Breathe, baby," I growled, clenching my fingers on her ass, jerking her against me with more force each time. "You're gonna come for me so hard and good you can't see straight." "Please," she whimpered, begging me to fuck her harder still. With a snarl, I pushed her off my lap, then bent her over, grounding her hands on the rock. I took her from behind and let my balls swing, slapping her clit each time I drove deep. She tensed up, gushed, and tried to scream within seconds. I clapped my hand over her mouth, cursing when she bit into my finger, pushing the pleasure back into her lips. Wasn't letting anything escape into the night. Her pleasure, her moans, her screams belonged to me. I let the fire behind us warm my ass while I fucked her like a freight train straight through her first orgasm of many. Her pussy juiced all over my dick, growing hotter and wetter and tighter all the time. "You're gonna kill me one of these days, baby girl," I growled, the fire in my balls growing as strong as the one toasting my backside. "I'll fuck you so hard my damned head pops from everything you've given me." "No," she moaned through my fingers, kissing over the bite mark the little minx had left on my hand. "Yeah, fuck yeah." Had to say it twice. I wouldn't fucking settle for anything else. She had to believe me. I fucked this girl honest, groaning my pleasure a minute later, my balls hitting overload, crazy to spit more cum into her. I railed her with all my might. Her tits swung like pendulums while I shook every inch of her, fucking her with everything I had, everything that said it like words couldn't. My fucking property. Ellie Joe's perfect pussy squeezed my cock. She came again, and I fucking lost it. My head snapped back so far I could see the stars rolling in the blackness while my load hurled out my dick. I shot the thickest ropes of my life into her since the night I knocked her up, pushed my cock deep and unloaded with every muscle twitching, a full body release like she just took half my soul. All these months and the drug-like effect of coming inside this woman still hadn't faded. There was a difference between fucking the sluts of the distant past and the love of my life, the mother of my kids, the woman I'd claimed from here till kingdom come. And I'd never forget it. How the hell could I? The fire rampaging through my veins told me every time I pushed deep like this. My balls pulsed a reminder so fucking hard it made my ears ring. Ellie Joe took every inch of me to the absolute limits like she did every night, pulling out my cum, taking a piece of me to heaven. I came my fucking brains out. I gave her my soul, and she gave me something I'd be dreaming about when we were finally spent. Her moaning, clenching, biting release. Everything I gave to her like no man ever would. Fuck, 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 I whispered, pulling out of her an eternity later. Couldn't force my brain to think anything else after coming together like that. She rolled, closing her legs like a good girl to hold my seed in, staring me in the eyes. I doused out the fire with a bucket of water nearby, then rolled up my pants. I frowned when she did the same, only consoling myself with the fact that I'd be ripping all that shit off in a couple more minutes back in the tent. You know, I racked my brains to tell you how much I love you back there at the church before we left Redding, she said softly, holding my hand, looking into the dying embers in the fire pit. I couldn't find words. Nothing comes close when it's all about you, Austin. You saved my life. Not just with the Chinese, I mean, this. She brought a hand to her belly. I never thought I could be so happy, so fulfilled. You've given me a future, a way to be inside the club without losing my mind. Thank you, love. I'll never forget it. The girl leaned on her tiptoes and gave me a kiss so hot it was like we hadn't even fucked. My dick sprang to life, begging to be inside her again. I turned her around, ran my fingers through her soft blonde hair, then put my lips where they belonged on hers before I said anything. Babe, you don't have to thank me for shit or sing my ass sonnets. When you're screaming your lungs out underneath me and exploding on my cock, that's how I know you love me. When I see my face getting older and wiser in those blue eyes, I know. You're fucking crazy if you think you've got to prove anything, or if you think I'd ever doubt it. You'd better kiss me and come closer to get a better look, she said, smiling, taking a long look at the stars before meeting my eyes. It's such a beautiful night. Yeah, Hellbell, but it's barely different than any other. We're going to be having nights like this for a long fucking time. Count on it, as sure as you'll be rocking our kid to sleep by winter. Oh, I will, you wonderful bastard. I smiled into our next kiss. These getaways were great. The club needed ceremony sometimes, and so did we as a couple, but fuck. Honestly, I'd be renewing our vows every single day. I did it every time I took these lips, listened to her voice, pinned her down, and felt her shaking under me. About a minute later, we managed to pull away just long enough to crawl into our tent underneath the starry sky. We renewed our vows all damned night, and probably forged a few new ones in dirt and grit and lust. I loved this woman so much, I couldn't believe I'd wasted so much time on other shit. I remembered the first time those bright blue eyes gave me the world when we were dumb kids, staring at me through the spokes of her screwed-up bike tire as I kneeled down to give her a hand. Half an eternity ago, and it was still as fucking beautiful as yesterday. I passed the hell out next to my woman with a smile on my face. This concludes Outlaw's Vow by Nicole Snow. Narrated by Tatiana Sokolov and Mason Lloyd. Copyright 2015 by Nicole Snow. This unabridged audiobook is published by arrangement with Nicole Snow and was produced in the year 2016 by Tantor Media Incorporated, a division of Recorded Books which holds the copyright thereto. Please visit Tantor.com for more information on our growing library of unabridged audiobooks and to take advantage of special offers.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I smiled into our next kiss. These getaways were great. The club needed ceremony sometimes, and so did we as a couple, but fuck. Honestly, I'd be renewing our vows every single day. I did it every time I took these lips, listened to her voice, pinned her down, and felt her shaking under me. About a minute later, we managed to pull away just long enough to crawl into our tent underneath the starry sky. We renewed our vows all damned night, and probably forged a few new ones in dirt and grit and lust. I loved this woman so much, I couldn't believe I'd wasted so much time on other shit. I remembered the first time those bright blue eyes gave me the world when we were dumb kids, staring at me through the spokes of her screwed-up bike tire as I kneeled down to give her a hand. Half an eternity ago, and it was still as fucking beautiful as yesterday. I passed the hell out next to my woman with a smile on my face. This concludes Outlaw's Vow by Nicole Snow. Narrated by Tatiana Sokolov and Mason Lloyd. Copyright 2015 by Nicole Snow. This unabridged audiobook is published by arrangement with Nicole Snow and was produced in the year 2016 by Tantor Media Incorporated, a division of Recorded Books which holds the copyright thereto. Please visit Tantor.com for more information on our growing library of unabridged audiobooks and to take advantage of special offers.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Tantor.com for more information on our growing library of unabridged audiobooks and to take advantage of special offers.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.